Shortly after the attacks on the Twin Towers, the heart of our nation's military came under siege. Future Texan Senator Brian Birdwell, then a lieutenant colonel, thought that Tuesday morning was just another day at the office. But 9/11 would change his life and his faith, now 2 decades later.
On the morning of September 11th, I was a lieutenant colonel. My command board was going to meet. I was a steady Freddy. I wasn't setting the world on fire. Didn't know if I was going to be chosen for battalion command, but I was at a stage of, I wanted to be that guy that got to full colonel, retires at 30 years, and then gets the RV and drives around the country. The Lord had something else in mind that day. At about 8:50, 8:55, near 9 o'clock, Sandy, one of my two co-workers that were killed that morning, Sandy Taylor, Sandy gets a call from her daughter Sam up in New York. Sandy stands up and says, "Sam just said, planes hit the World Trade Center." And I would kneel down with Cheryl and Sandy and just lead that prayer that just says, "Lord, we love our first responders, be with them, but it's going to be you doing the bulk of the life saving today."
You are a New York City firefighter. Drop what you're doing, report to your company.
At about 9:30, 9:35, I told Sandy and Cheryl I needed to step out, go to the men's restroom, that I'd be back momentarily, and those were the last words that I would speak to my two co-workers. When the plane makes impact, I'm set ablaze. This is really the definition of terrorism. The concussion and the vacuum of an 80-ton explosion. And so in those moments, I did what we in the military are never trained to do, and that's surrender and give up. And I screamed out in a very loud voice, "Jesus, I'm coming to see you." It wasn't, "Lord, save me from this calamity." And as I opened my eyes, waiting for that, okay, Lord, why aren't we finishing this? I could see in the distance light reflecting off the tile. The best way to describe me is there are chunks hanging off of me. My eyes I can already feel the swelling in my face. As I'm staggering down the hallway, I cover about 25, 30 yards. 4 men come out of the B-ring doors: Bill McKinnon, Roy Wallace, John Davies, and Chuck Knobloch. And they weren't coming to look for me particularly. They were trying to, because the plane had cut their office areas in half. This is not a place to tarry and wait for medical care to get to me. Fire's burning at the crash site, smoke's filling up, and in that first exertion to pick me up, they pull chunks off of me, and I begin screaming at them to leave me alone. And because I know in my heart I'm telling them to leave me there to die. But essentially, Bill, Roy, Chuck, and John, instead of grasping me, grip each other's arms with my body weight resting on their hand-shaking arms. I received my first medical care from a great Air Force doctor named John Baxter. He just happened to have his go bag with him, and he get to Georgetown, and the attending physician is Dr. Michael Williams, and he's been formally trained at the Washington Hospital Center in trauma, how to be a train wreck doctor. Well, I'm not getting evacuated to the Washington Hospital Center because of the restriction on air flights. Dr. Williams comes to the left-hand side, says, "Brian, we're going to do everything that we possibly can for you." And my eyes are nearly closed now from the swelling of the head and the eye socket area. But I can see in his eyes, there's just the gravity of knowing that, that my death is either imminent, or whatever it is I'm about to walk into is going to be the hardest thing I've ever been asked to do. In a burn unit ICU, the angel of death is standing in the corner. But when I get out of ICU and I'm a 6-foot infant with a wreck of a body, what I miss of those very difficult days in ICU and in step-down care, the numbers of things that because of the damage done to my body and everything being a prayer for, Lord, give me the ability to do this. Was I as much a believer before September 11th as I am now? Yes, sir. All those blessings and all those traumas are worth every moment of your freedom and every other citizen in this country's freedom.